Okay, let's talk about debt. For most of us, that word probably brings up a little bit of anxiety, right? It's a burden, it's a chain, it's something we're taught to get rid of as fast as we possibly can. But what if I told you that for the wealthiest people on the planet, debt is the complete opposite? Yeah, for them, it's not a burden at all. It's one of their most powerful tools.
So check this out. It really puts things into perspective. On one side, you've got the conventional wisdom, the stuff we all hear. Debt is a burden, get rid of it. But then you look at the other side, the billionaire strategy. For them, debt is a tool to build wealth. I mean, it is a complete 180-degree flip of everything most of us are taught about money. It's kind of wild when you see it laid out like this.
And this quote, this just nails it. For a select few, the goal isn't to become debt-free. The goal is to use debt to get richer. I mean, think about that for a second. It's not about that feeling of relief you get when you pay off a mortgage or a car loan. For this very exclusive club, the whole point is to strategically use other people's money to make their own fortunes even bigger. So, what is this crazy strategy actually called? Well, it's got a name that's pretty intense. It's known as borrow until you die. Seriously. And the way it's framed, this is like an inside look into a closely guarded secret of the ultra-wealthy. It's a financial playbook that lets them completely sidestep the rules the rest of us have to follow.
All right, so how on earth does this actually work? Let's break it down step by step. First things first, you acquire assets that you expect to grow in value over time. We're talking stocks, fancy real estate, maybe some fine art, you get the picture. Step 2, and this is key, instead of selling those assets when you need cash, you borrow against their value. Step 3, and this is the magic part, you spend that loan money and it's completely tax-free. And finally, step 4, you just wait. You let your assets keep growing, hopefully much faster than the interest on your debt is piling up.
Now, the specific financial gadget that makes all of this possible is something called a portfolio-backed loan. And this is really where being super rich gives you an incredible advantage. Think about it. Banks are falling over themselves to lend you money at ridiculously low interest rates when you can put up a multi-million or even billion-dollar portfolio as collateral. It's literally some of the cheapest money on the planet.
Okay, so here's the absolute critical advantage. This is the whole point. By borrowing, you can get your hands on millions in cash to live your life or make even more investments, all without selling a single stock or piece of property. Now, why does that matter so much? Because the second you sell an asset for a profit, you trigger a taxable event. Hello, capital gains tax. But a loan isn't considered income. It's just tax-free cash. It's a brilliant workaround.
Okay, but wait, this raises a massive question, doesn't it? We're talking about potentially billions of dollars in debt. It can't just vanish into thin air, right? Somebody somewhere has to pay the piper eventually. And this is where the until you die part of the name comes in. The loan does get paid back. It's just not by the person who borrowed the money. The debt simply gets passed along to their estate when they die. It becomes someone else's problem. So here's the grand finale, the endgame. And it all hinges on this little-known but incredibly powerful tax rule. When the heirs inherit everything, the assets and the debt, the tax code does something amazing. It essentially hits a reset button on the value of those assets. This is called a step up in basis. So imagine dad bought a stock for $10, and now it's worth $1,000. If he sold it, he'd owe tax on a $990 profit. But when his kids inherit it, the government pretends they bought it for $1,000. All that profit just, poof, disappears for tax purposes. So what do? They can sell a small chunk of those assets, pay back the loans completely tax-free, and they get to keep the rest of the massive untaxed fortune. It is a stunningly effective way to pass on wealth. So let's just put it all side by side, because this table really clarifies the two completely different worlds we're talking about. For most people, right, the goal is to get rid of debt. That usually means selling assets and, yep, paying taxes. For the billionaire class, the goal is to use debt. You borrow against your assets, you get tax-free cash. See, it's not just a different strategy, it's a completely different philosophy. One mindset sees debt as a liability, something that holds you back. The other, they see it as an asset, a tool for leverage.
You know, when you boil it all down, it really comes to this. One mindset sees debt as a chain, something that weighs you down, restricts your freedom. But the other has learned to see it as a lever, a tool that, if you're strong enough, can be used to move mountains and build entire empires.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it? After seeing how the rules can be played so differently, does it change how you look at the whole financial world? Is debt a cage that traps you, or could it actually be a key?